My dad pointed out that the scarecrow screwed up the Pythagorean theorem at the end of The Wizard of Oz. And my mother yelled at him, "Julie, don't ruin the movie for the kids." But my dad couldn't help himself. He was an error detector. He was a skeptic, especially about advertising, because words mattered. Cascade dishwasher detergent, virtually spotless dishes. It's like, what the hell is that? Either your dishes have spots or they don't. Virtually just covers their ass. Ivory soap, 99 and 44/100% pure. It's like, pure what? Pure bullshit, that's what. Oh, so they put baking soda in your toothpaste. They charge you an extra $1. You could buy your own baking soda and put it in your toothpaste. It would cost you what, like 2 cents? Neil, they are out to get you. My dad was a brilliant, logical man. He was an engineer. And I once asked him when I was a kid, I said, "Dad, are you the smartest man in the world?" And he got this little gleam in his eye. He said, "I'm virtually the smartest man in the world." Well, he would escape into his basement projects, and I would escape into the world of comic books. Superman, Batman, The Flash. And I loved them. But what was most intriguing were the advertisements in the back of the comic book, because you could get some weird shit. You could buy sea monkeys, an ocelot for $20, fitness guides by Charles Atlas so you wouldn't be a 99-pound weakling at the beach. But most amazing of all, X-ray specs. The ad depicted a goofy guy shooting out a wedge of X-rays that enable him to see through women's clothes. And the ad also said, "You can see your own bones." I'm like, oh my God, you could see through women's clothes and you could see your own bones. That's a win-win. But you know, at 10 years old, I was pretty skeptical, but I really wanted them to work. And the advertisement was very persuasive. There were the thick black frames and those hypnotic red spirals. It's like, how could they not work? Plus, they were in the back of a Superman comic book. Superman had X-ray vision, and Superman didn't lie. Well, my dad would often take me to the farmer's market in Bethpage, Long Island, and it was an amazing place because it was like this magical circus atmosphere. There was sawdust on the floor, fun music blaring out of the speakers, and kids could watch endless loops of Laurel and Hardy and Our Gang comedies. And it was this like tremendous maze of booths that sold everything, and this pervasive smell of ripe melons. It just felt like life. And my dad pointed out that there was a booth dedicated solely to comic books. It was like a miracle. It was like bins filled with comic books. I could buy them for 10 cents each. Well, he went to the photography booth where he could buy some like broken camera bodies and projectors that he could bring home and fix. And he once picked me up at the comics booth, and we were going to leave, but we passed by. Oh my God, we passed by this most amazing booth. It was on a novelty booth that it would stop your heart. The colors were vibrant. There were the bright red gyroscopes and the blue spinning tops and the iridescent yo-yos and the lollipops as big as your head. And I'm a little kid looking up, and out of nowhere appears this tremendous man from inside the booth, and he places both hands on the counter. And he's got jet black hair that's slicked back with Vitalis, so it's gleaming in the fluorescent light. And his head is framed by rubber masks of dead presidents and movie stars, like Kennedy and Marilyn and James Dean. And there are whoopee cushions and those wooden paddles with the little red balls. And near his hands on the counter, there's fake vomit and dog shit. It was beautiful. And over his left shoulder, I see a rack of X-ray specs. I go, "Dad, I want the X-ray specs." Now, my dad's an optical engineer. He goes, "Yeah, they're not going to work." And the man even leans forward. He goes, "You know, kid, those glasses, they ain't going to help you see through nothing. Try them on." I put them on, and I felt the pressure. I'm looking at my hand, and I'm trying really hard to see my bones. But all I saw was like a big blur. I was so disappointed, but I was also stubborn, and I bought them with my own allowance. My father looks at me, he goes, "Yeah, you can stick those X-ray specs in your James Bond 007 attaché case you never play with and stick them in your closet of broken dreams. Dad. Then he takes pity on me. He goes, all right, let me tell you a story. He said he was a teenager. He was in Manhattan. There's a guy in a trench coat in a dark alley that called him over, and he actually went over. And he goes, psst, kid, come here. So he goes over. The guy opens his trench coat, pulls out a beautiful royal blue box, opens it, and there's a brand new sparkling Remington electric razor. And the guy says, you could have it for $10. It's a $60 value. My dad brings it home, plugs it in, it hums for a few seconds, and there's like a puff of black smoke, like a magic trick. And his father says to him, Julie, you learned a valuable lesson for just $10, not so bad. He looks at me, he goes, Neil, how much were the x-ray specs? $4? Not so bad. Let's get some ice cream.